Again, and welcome to another episode of Hornets Daily, presented by Fan Arc, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. Just like yesterday, I'm Vance Ballard, but friends like you can call me VB. Thanks so much for joining us today, and be sure to smash that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on the video. Comments are becoming more prevalent on our videos, so as we've mentioned several times, we'll begin probably next week. It's looking like diving into the comment section, taking a look at what you guys are thinking, bringing some of those thoughts into the show, just getting a little more personal with the chat here on Hornets Daily. Now, after we saw the footage of the team touching down in the Sin City, the real teases have finally begun to come out. We've gotten a few clips of the first workouts out in Vegas for the Hornets, and they are dangerously exciting. Rookie and number 4 overall pick Con Knippel went on SportsCenter last night to discuss his expectations for his first season in Charlotte and how he hopes to mesh with the young core of the Hornets. We've got the hottest rumor yet from the rumor mill, and of course we will continue to look over the most watched or intriguing names, if you will, on the Summer League roster. July is a month full of anticipation, folks, and that is a good theme for today's show. Now, with that being said, as always, there's no need to beat around the bush, so let's just jump right into it. It didn't take long for Coach Chris Gent and the rest of the team to get settled in and head straight for the gym in the desert. Videos from the first workout in Vegas have started to emerge, and I'm probably much more excited about them than I should be. They are, of course, very short and wisely selected clips, but even still, they provide a lot of things to be excited about. In these clips, we see exactly why the young names on this roster have so much anticipation surrounding them. The prioritization of passing and smart playmaking is on full display in the footage we've seen so far, even going as far as to show Tajon Salon doing his best LaMelo Ball impression, kicking it out to first-round pick Liam McNeely, who knocks down a three-pointer. And that's not all we saw from the big Frenchman, as he, in my opinion, is the most exciting part of this footage. We saw Salon display what seems to be a much improved shooting stroke, coming off a screen, hitting a one-dribble pull-up three from the top of the key, and that wasn't the only three-pointer we saw him make during this session either. He also showed some upside in his athletic ability as well, taking a defender off the dribble and finishing off the play with a two-handed jam. My favorite play from Tajon, however, was a free throw line fadeaway with a defender draped on his back. He was able to make a nice turnaround and a really good offensive move. And it was evident from just these short videos that Salon has been putting in a lot of hard and serious work in the offseason and adding things to his tool belt over that time. He is well aware of the pressure and expectations that are coming for him this season, and if this opening workout is any indication, he seems very ready to handle both. Now, I know we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, get too crazy here. It's just the first workout in July of the Summer League, but it's still nice to see some improvement early from Salon in this offseason. Now, we mentioned Liam McNeely earlier in that spiel as well, and he too was a bright spot in this footage as the 29th overall pick put on display his athleticism as well as his shooting ability during the workout, and was able to make it much more clear why the Hornets were willing to move up and draft him. So it'll be nice to continue to see the footage come out, continue to see the workouts, and eventually get into game action and watch what Liam McNeely can do on his first NBA level as well. The rest of the rookies, they also showed some promise, as well as they too were featured in the videos, with Sion James and Con Knippel knocking down multiple jumpers from inside and outside the arc, and Ryan Kalkbrenner doing his normal damage in the paint. Now, Kalkbrenner's interesting because there's going to be a lot of eyes on the big man in the next few days as we watch to see how he will adjust both offensively and defensively, to the NBA style of play. He said it himself in a press conference after the workout, where he mentioned that he had been involved in the same offense for 5 years at Creighton, and now he had a big habit to break coming into the NBA to get used to a new style of play. He said it wasn't too terribly different, but there's definitely going to be a learning curve involved. That's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on as we advance through Summer League action. Now, I'm doing my best, folks, to stay rational about this situation, but I love what we've seen so far out of everyone on this Summer League roster and cannot wait to watch them play games starting on Friday. Now, we found out last night that I am not the only person that feels this way involving the Hornets. Number 4 overall pick Kon Knueppel went on SportsCenter last night with Michael Eaves and talked for just over 5 minutes about his expectations for his rookie year, what it was like growing up in a house of 4 boys, and he told us a few things that let us know he's still got a little bit to learn to love about the state of North Carolina as well. Now, the former Blue Devil told Eaves that the pre-draft workouts, the draft itself, and all the practices leading up to now and this first workout we just saw in Summer League, they have all been fun, but he is, quote, excited to get back to playing games. And I personally would imagine that part of the reason he feels that way is so he can hone in on his plans, on what he plans to do for LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges, which he said was make their lives easier and hopefully hit a few shots. Certainly things Knueppel was brought in from that number 4 pick to do, and a lot more as well. Now, live game reps should certainly help him understand how he can do those things at an NBA level. But as I said, this interview wasn't all ball, as Kon gave a little insight on what it was like growing up in a household full of boys. He said the bathroom was disgusting when he was his quote when he was asked what the worst thing about living with 3 brothers was. And I thought that was funny. Again, just kind of joking about Kon, showing some personality there on SportsCenter. But what I found was most interesting was his answer when asked the other side of that question, what the best part about growing up with 3 brothers was. I found that answer to be the most intriguing, as he mentioned specifically that there was always something to compete in during that response. And that jumped out at me quickly because if you heard it, there's that word again, competition or compete, whatever form of it you want to use. That's the word. That's one of the words, the main word we've had hammered into our brains all summer long by this organization, whether it be Jeff Peterson, Charles Lee, any of the 4 rookies, or anyone else already on the roster. Competition has been key and a big phrase all summer long coming out of Charlotte. And now you have on SportsCenter live on national TV here, Knueppel saying competition was his favorite part about having brothers growing up. And I think that goes a long way to show what kind of player Knueppel's going to be, what kind of person the Hornets drafted. And it again just reiterates what Jeff Peterson is trying to build going forwards in Charlotte. Kon finished the interview by showing he still, again, as I mentioned, has a little bit of love to gain for his new home state here of North Carolina. After having spent a year in Durham, he now moves down to Charlotte. And when comparing things connected with North Carolina to those from his home state, his original home state of Wisconsin, Kon chose 3-0 in favor of the Wisconsin activities. But when he was asked the final question by Eaves, IndyCar or NASCAR, Kon nailed it and said NASCAR. Again, he hasn't been in North Carolina long, but he's clearly been with some of the right people, because choosing IndyCar over NASCAR while living in Charlotte would have been a very tough look for the young rookie. All in all, I think Kon looked very good on SportsCenter on the national stage on ESPN and provided some further optimism for Hornets and for the Hornets organization and Hornets fans about the regular season to come. Now, as I've said earlier in this video, before many times in other videos, July is the dog days of summer. It's a month filled with hope, optimism, anticipation, and hypotheticals flying all over the place. It's the perfect time to find just about any solution that you want to get your team over that hump. And that again was put on display on Tuesday as Jackson Caudill and Rohan Raman posted an article on the Atlanta Hawks Sports Illustrated page suggesting a 3-team trade between Charlotte, Atlanta, and New Orleans. Now, in this hypothetical, the Hawks would receive Josh Okogie, the Hornets would receive Zion Williamson, and the Pelicans would get Miles Bridges, Josh Green, a 2027 unprotected first-round pick, and a 2029 first-rounder as well. I read this a few times, and I thought, of course, I love Zion just as much as the next guy, and it would be really cool to bring him into Charlotte, a name like that, someone with the potential and the abilities that we know Zion has, adding him another Duke guy to the roster next to James and Knipple would be interesting as well. And I'm more than aware in all reality that Okogie is a trade piece and more than likely going to be moved either in the offseason or sometime during the regular season. But the rest of the pieces that are mocked in that trade to be sent off, that feels like a little bit too much for someone who is as injury prone as we know Zion to be. Now, if we knew that he could stay healthy, this, in my opinion, would be a no-brainer because it would be bringing in someone like Zion Williamson who would pretty much instantly fix the problems in the paint for the Hornets. He can play on both ends of the floor. We know he is a human highlight factory with the ball in his hands, and if he could stay healthy, putting him in a Hornets uniform would be an absolute home run of an idea. But we know his injury history, and I don't think you can give up a haul like that for a guy who historically just won't make it to the end of the season. So while, again, yes, this is a fun and probably the most exciting rumor that we've seen out on the mill so far, it probably should stay just that way. There's really no logical reason to move all of those pieces. While, yes, all of them are up in the air and potential to be moved, that doesn't seem like the correct way to do it, in my opinion, and the correct return to get back from moving all those pieces at one time. Now we'll switch gears again. We'll get back into our Summer League roster preview. As I've mentioned, it's always fun to talk about players who could be joining the roster, but it is also important to mention and go over those guys who are currently on the roster, whether it be the Summer League roster like we're talking about now, or projected to, or guys we already know are going to make the regular season roster. We'll get into some of those in the coming days as well. But for now, we'll stick with Summer League roster, and we'll move to James Banks III today. The 6'10 center who played his college ball at Texas and Georgia Tech, the Georgia native, will be joining the Hornets for the second straight summer. He was on the 2024 Summer League roster with Charlotte as well, and at 27 years old, he will be the oldest player on this current Summer League roster. Banks will be relied heavily on not only on the court but off of it as well, using being able to use his previous experience in the Summer League, going a long way towards helping the rookies overcome any jitters they may have and kind of better understand this portion of the NBA game. Now, in terms of how Banks can help himself, he enters as one of only 2 listed centers on this Summer League roster, with the other being second-round pick Ryan Kalkbrenner. He'll be an important mentor to Kalkbrenner, again, as I mentioned, coming in with some Summer League experience, but he's also going to be asked to play big minutes in Las Vegas, and a good showing could go a long ways towards helping him make the roster or at the very least earn a spot on the two-way roster playing in Greensboro and Charlotte throughout the regular season. Banks is coming off a year where he spent time partially in the G League not with the Hornets. In Maine is where he played his G League ball, and he averaged a little over 5 points per game and right at 6 rebounds a game to go along with it. Now, his most intriguing stat, and if you know anything about James Banks, what he was most known for in his college days and was what has allowed him to hang around NBA rosters, G League rosters, since leaving college in 2020, is his defense and his paint presence. He averaged just over 1.5 blocks per game in his G League play last year and the year before that, also again with Maine. Now, as we've said many times, this team is in major need of a big-time paint defender, and if James Banks III can show some promise on that end of the floor, he could very easily play his way into this season's rotation just because of his ability to protect the rim and be a presence in the paint. The former ACC Defensive Player of the Year, two-time All-ACC, All-Team Defense in the ACC, led the ACC in blocks as a junior at Georgia Tech. He's not a stretch five by any means, but as he did not take a single three-pointer in the G League last season. I don't see any real reason why that would change coming into this season, since he is known for his inside presence really on both ends of the floor, more so defensively, but offensively he likes to play on the inside and bang around with the big fellas in there as well. That'll go a long way for Banks if he can keep improving on what was a 50.5% shooting percentage last year. If he can improve that percentage and that continue to go up from inside the paint, maybe just work out to a small mid-range game, open the bag up a little bit for Banks, he could be a big bright spot for the Hornets. And if he can continue to get better defensively while also adding some of those things to his offensive bag, he could be a really important piece towards the end of the Hornets bench and become a part of this rotation as the regular season begins to unfold. Now, as I said, James is the oldest player on this Summer League roster, but that could easily play to his advantage. He knows what this stretch of games is like and what needs to be done to prove you belong in the NBA. He's going to be a very interesting watch come Friday, along with the rest of the names on this roster that we've mentioned and the next couple that we'll get into here before the Summer League officially tips off on Friday. Of course, we'll have time to continue to go over the roster and update the players we've talked about as the Summer League unfolds in front of us, but we'll have time to get there when that comes. So, folks, that's going to do it here for another episode of Hornets Daily. And again, we're just 2 days away from the first Summer League tip-off, and the anticipation is bubbling over. Once again, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and comment on the video. We'll get into those coming up soon in the series. Probably again next week, we'll dive into the comments section. Well, folks, just 2 more sleeps before Summer League, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow after one of them. Thanks for watching Hornets Daily.